My next step, same deal. What I want to do is I want to flash. Now, usually you have paper on the wall like this. This is for water. Water gets behind, runs down here, over top of your flashing and out. The first thing you have to do, it's going to be tacked all the way down. When you get to the building, this will be stapled all the way down. Pull the staples off all the way around. Find yourself something. If it won't stay up, to keep it out of your road. I usually use some sort of nails. Roofing nails are fine, any kind of nails or screws. And I'll take this and that's all, I just tack that up out of my way. Keep in mind, you have to take it up higher if you have taller flashing. If it calls for 16-inch flashing, you're gonna go 4 inches in, 12 inches up. We have, looks to be 16-inch flashing. It's actually 18-inch flashing. So I know I'm gonna come in 4 inches, okay? You don't have to come out to here. In fact, I don't recommend you come out here. I recommend you stay back at least 1/4 of an inch so you don't end up having to cut off excess or waste time. So I would say 4 inches in, 14 up, that's 18 inches. Okay, so I'm good right there. As far as over here, I need 14 inches. I just want to make sure everything's out of my way. Might take this, pull this up a little more just to make sure. Better to have a little more than a little less. So now what I like to do is, if this is the length of the flashing I'm starting with, I'm gonna start on this side on the outside corner. This is the only place you're really gonna have to cut the flashing and lap it. The other inside corner, you will not have to cut the flashing. It'll be its own indent. So what I do is instead of measuring what I want, I just roll it out. It's already on the ground. So we're gonna come over to here. Get your knife out of your pocket, which you should always have. So that's your first piece of flashing. So first piece of flashing, you roll it over, okay? That's gonna be to my top side because I don't want any kind of stickiness grabbing onto my metal, okay? And what I'll do is about 4 inches of it is gonna be down, all right? So I want to be able to pull that out once I leave it. And you'll understand here in a second. Okay, so I'll go about 4. And I cut very gently, like this. You don't want to cut through the flashing, you just want to cut through the paper that's on the flashing. Then you take this part, and what I like to do is fold it right here. So that now, I'm folding it so that it's going to have a natural bottom and top, so when I set it on, it'll be nice. If you fold it real nice, it'll be fine. Okay. And then you take off the big part. You leave the little part on that's going to be over top of the metal. You do not want that touching the metal. But we need this on the wall. Okay. So now when I come here, take my brick off. Sometimes what you can do if you're having problems is say, grab somebody and say, hey, Carmen, come here for a minute. So he can hold one end, okay? He wants to come past there, and then we're gonna fold it, and we're gonna get this. You gotta come to where it's a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch in from there, okay? Push the bottom down into there, okay? Make sure it's nice and flat, and then you wanna start at the bottom and push it up like this, okay? Now, that should stick really nice, and your bottom's good. Now, what you do is you start here, and take that piece that we left on so that we had play. You wanna make sure you have no debris underneath of it. He holds that up, or you could hold it up, and then you just, same thing, put it down. We are going to make our lap fall down. Cut that down to there. And then I paste that down. Pulls up in the corner, no big deal. All right. So now, on this one, we are going to make it we got 16 inches there. And then we're going out here. Let's just call it 24. Okay, I'll move that out to there. There we go, out 24 and 16. So 24 and 16 is 40 inches. Roll it out to be 40 inches. Cut it on 40 inches. And a good way to know that instead of like trying to mark this and making a straight line, if you start on O and you end on O, it's straight. Okay? So on this one, we got a little bit of origami to do here before we get started. What you want to do with this is same thing, 4 inches. And you make that little slice so you can fold it because you're going to start with that fold. Same thing, very lightly, and make sure you do not cut through the flashing. You just have to put enough pressure to cut a little bit of plastic. Then I fold this at that 4 inches, same way. And you can find that 4 inches because you already just cut that. If you cut through the flashing, you wasted it, you have to start over. So when you get into this inside corner, what you want to do is find out where it's at first. Okay, you want enough lap over this. So I'm going to go 4 inches past this. So this is my corner. I fold it over, okay? I need this to be folded so that we have no inside water or end dam. It'll actually be its own end dam. I learned this from one of my students actually. So you take that same fold, you got a fold here, you got a fold here. Now we need to make this fold and this fold at the same time. So which means, let me get this so you can see it. Carmen, I'm gonna need your help again. So when you do this, here's my inside corner. You hold that up, put your finger down there or something, okay? And then you wanna fold this in and this in at the same time. So what you have to do is lap this kind of like that. So what you're doing is actually this. So that way the water, if it gets under, it can't get anywhere except for out, because this is all going to be taped together. So you want to hold it at a 90 as well, because that's important, okay? But what you can do before you start all this is get it glued to the wall. So, but you want to really crease this to get it to where it'll stay in that crease, or at least be started in that crease, all right? And then from here, we want to rip the backing off. So now we have our origami started. And what we want to do is do the same thing. Go ahead, pull me into the corner, and then push this inside corner in as far as you can get it. Try not to touch anything until you're ready. So that's why it's very important that we don't have that stuff sticking to the metal, because there's always readjustments you have to do. So now I have, see, he's uphill a little bit. Do this. Let's make sure. The important thing is we get a tight seal in here. We get one side down. Okay. Make sure that's all tight. See, now this gives us plenty of room. Now we can take off, make our corners stick. And now at this lap, I usually go the opposite way. I laid that one down. Instead of laying it down on this side, what I do is I hit the same level as this. I cut across like that, and I flap it around the corner, okay? And then I can take the first side, remember, once you get that backing sticking to that metal, end game. Okay, so then lay that down. We have a sealed corner. There's no way, everything's coming out this way. This is all sealed, that's sealed, and it's done. You got your water, comes down, out, drips off. Okay, now normally on these you don't need a turn bar. Sometimes it does call for a turn bar. If it calls for a turn bar, then you just use screws. If there's metal, you use the metal screws. But normally on these, just take your thing down and then drop that over, okay? Now all your water runs down the outside of this, behind the brick, and then we'll have weep holes in the brick.